So, Ravi, you wrote a column in The Australian yesterday which was going to just how extraordinary this series has been supported by the Aussie public, and advancing a view that you've done before on television around having two tiers maybe of the World Test Championship or Test cricket more generally, so that we can concentrate more of these contests.
Absolutely. I've been a firm believer in that. You know, if you want Test cricket to survive, be alive and thriving, I think that's the way to go.
Cummins has got a short leg when bowling to Rishabh. Does so here around the wicket. He gets hit on the thigh pad. It spills out to the gully, but he played it awkwardly. Thus the ooh you could hear from Rishabh. Might have hit him in the box because he's dropped the bat. He's been hit again. Straight on the knees, and we know what that means. And the Indian physio, Kamlesh Jain's out there again. Don't know what he can do about him getting hit in the box, but we'll have a moment to have a look at the replay initially. And yeah, that was a direct hit. Bang. So he's been in the wars, Rishabh Pant. The bicep where he was felled, well, he was struck last week, but there's already a bruise to aim for. Then the grill, and now the box, all in the space of about an hour. So in that scenario, Ravi, would you have promotion relegation for, say, one spot in the World Test Championship where there's a Division 2 playing out at the same time?
Yes, I would definitely do that. One goes down, one comes up, and probably 6 to 8 teams, you know.
Well, I think that the view advanced by ICC types when this was put about 5 or 6 years ago is that the risk factor, let's say it's 7 teams, the risk factor is that India, Australia or England end up in that relegation spot and get dropped to Division 2 for a cycle, and that would have commercial implications.
Yeah, but it's far better that happening than having 10 or 12 teams playing, where there's no contest. I mean, look what's going on in the test match in Zimbabwe. Afghanistan. 550 played 700. You know, 690. It's and the issue I have with you know, a lot of these teams playing Test cricket, they don't have a first-class structure in their own country. So to expect them to play Test cricket, you know, really is not fair.
So you'd have a Division 2, just to make sure I got the architecture in my head here.
Correct.
Your Division 2 would include your other full member nations.
Yes.
So the 12 that are currently able to play Test cricket.
Yeah.
Let's say it was 8 and 6, or 8 and 4, sorry, or 6 and 8, or whatever it works out to be. And then in the event that an Australia, England or India drop down to Division 2, they'd still be entitled to play Test cricket against the First Division team. So you could still have an Ashes series if England drop down or Australia drop down.
That's the question the ICC will have to answer. Do you want 6 or do you want 7? Now, if a team finishes 7th, then they deserve to go down.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's one solution that could work in your model here, where you could play other series if you wish to that sit outside of your World Test Championship obligation. So let's say England or Australia drop down to 7, unlikely as it is, but it might happen. England have been down towards the bottom of the World Test table the last few years. That you can still play your Test series against your rivals. They just wouldn't count for points.
Especially when you know that there's a tradition there.
Yeah.
And you'll still get crowds, whether you like it or not. There's a rivalry.
And I suppose the other point to this, Ravi, is that if you've got a Division 2, you could add to the Division 2. You could grow Test cricket.
Yes.
Now, Scotland are 1 win away from being eligible to reach full member status at the moment. So they're very, very close to being allowed to apply for that designation. Now, we're back from that Rishabh hit in the box. Third long delay of the session. Cummins halfway through the over. Round the wicket to him. Rishabh Pant fiddles the one outside the line of the off stump. That was a very much leave alone. Limited upside. Corden nearly in play, not quite.
Yeah, just a loss in concentration there. You can see there was a break in play and Cummins zeroed in on that line just outside off stump.
Cool.
And he went after it. Often find Rishabh playing the line. On that occasion, he actually went with his hands and missed it.
Best case scenario, there was a single to point. So much risk with it. Has to regroup again. He's 26. He's facing Cummins, who bowls here, and he ducks the short one. Gets down early.
This is where he has to tighten up and really focus, because tea time is round the corner.
Yep.
About 3 minutes to go for tea. India don't want what happened before lunch. And it's so important against when you're playing against top teams, how you close sessions and how you start sessions, because that's the time where they're looking to break through.
So 1 ball left in the 49th over, and then presumably it'll be a Nathan Lyon over. Then they'll break for tea. So Cummins' final ball of the session for him is going to be round the wicket. Delivers to punt, hits him on the pad via the inside edge. A very clear second noise there. 4 for 100, end of the over. Punt 26. Jadeja 10. Player of the day for Bing Lee. Better living every day. Scott Boland with 2 wickets already. 48 in Test cricket at an average of 19. Got Tom Morris with us as well.
Ravi, do you think there's actually a genuine chance that the ICC could have a promotion and relegation system? Do you think it could happen?
It could happen. It definitely could happen. They've discussed it in the past.
Yeah.
You know, it's a case of, you know, the television then plays a big role, because a lot of the income that comes into the coffers to sustain Test cricket comes from television. So you have to see which are the ones that bring in crowds and which are saleable, because there are a lot of television companies that want that to happen. They want strength versus strength.
Line bowls to Jadeja. Sun's out, last over of the session. Jadeja gets forward and defends with a dead bat. It's been put to me, Tom, that what I described before really is that the fear of one of the big three getting relegated would complicate and compromise the TV deals.
That's
so
the
you might
solution.
need to, well, you might need to grandfather it so that, I mean, as inequitable as it would be, that the big three get protected from relegation. Line bowls round the wicket, long off back in front of the trumper stand, and Jadeja watches it into the gloves of Carey.
Well, if I use the English Premier League, I know it's club sport as an example, that has promotion and relegation, but you can play exhibition matches against whoever you want at any given time.
So that'd be the compromise, where the Ashes would still happen in that scenario, where Border Gavaskar cricket, India, England as well. Line up, slip short leg, forward Jadeja, inside part of the bat, not near short leg though. They're through for a run. They might get 2. Just 1. So Jadeja 11 from his 50th ball, 4 for 101.
It's just that the top teams play against each other more often. So, you know, there's a contest. You want contests. I mean, look at when you had a contest at the G.
Yeah.
See the kind of crowds that came in. They embraced Test match cricket. It was one of the best advertisements ever.
And one other point to this, Ravi, as we round out the session. If it's a group of 6, let's say, as line bowls here and punt goes back and cuts and finds the gap at backward point. Didn't have much room to work with. That's one of the shots of the day. Rode the bounce, gets himself a boundary for Azuto. Punts, my apologies, moves to 30, and India to 4 for 105.
That's very nicely played. Played very late. We saw a square cut earlier from Rishabh Pant of Mitchell Stark when he got some room. Here he had the room, but the adjustment had to be made as to how late he plays it, so he gets the placement.
30 from 78. Line in. Punt waits for him, and he pulls through the onside. A productive passage of play before the tea break. Doesn't quite go to the rope in front of the Brawongle stand. They'll get 2 though. 32 for punt, 4 for 107. Just to finish on that point, if the big 6 included India and Pakistan, how they would play their bilateral series might be complex.
Yes,
At the moment they avoid each other every time.
Yeah, that could be the problem.
Do you think neutral venues for that?
Maybe.
In a best case scenario?
In the best case scenario.